Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. In today's video I'll be showing you how I made 4 different stew based rice recipes. Let's get into it. We have 4 ingredients here for our native stew: habanero pepper, scotch bonnet pepper, onions, and some tomato. So right now we're going to go ahead and blend them together to make our stew base for our native stew. Let's get right into it. So you can see all 4 ingredients for our native stew. All the 4 ingredients are thoroughly washed. A habanero pepper, our scotch bonnet peppers, the onions, and our tomato. They are all washed. Just go ahead and blend it and get right into the preparation of the native stew. So after blending our tomato, pepper, and onion for our local stew or native stew, this is what I got from the blend. So I'll just pour it into my pot now, place it on my stove top for it to steam so that all the water will dry out. I will prep other ingredients I will be needing for our native stew. So our tomatoes has been boiling for a while now, or rather been steaming for a while now. You can see it's getting thick. Just allow it to thicken a little more before we get it right into the preparation of our stew. Still boiling. Just allow it to thicken a little. We have our finely chopped onions here. I have some meat stock from the fridge, so I just decided I will use it. So this is my bleached palm oil. So this is the dry fish I'm using. Alongside with this dry fish, is our washed rice. It's native rice. I washed it and I'm going to parboil it as well, in case there are stones in it, to get rid of any stone in it. So I'll parboil and wash again, because it's native rice. These are blended crayfish. These are dried prawns, or rather dried shrimps. I'm needing boiled eggs, granola cubes, and our salt. Okay, it's time for us to boil our rice now. I see our water is boiling, so let's boil our rice for it to parboil. I will come and wash it second time while it's boiling. Okay, you can see I just poured the rice into the water. We'll cover it and allow it to boil for like 5 minutes. We'll wash it off to make sure that there are no sand in it before we allow it to cook properly. So the rice is boiling, so it's time for us to wash it twice. Just finished parboiling it now, is to wash it and cook it properly, so as to get rid of any stones that might be in it. So I just poured the rice in the sieve. It's now time for me to wash it to get rid of the stones in the rice. Just add some water to it and sieve with your hand so that the stones will go to the bottom of the bowl. And then you get rid of stones in rice. You can see it's washed now. Finish washing it. So I'll now pour it in our boiling water, add a little salt to it, and our rice will be cooked. Just add a little salt to the water and add the rice. Cover it and allow it to cook for like 10 minutes. 10 minutes because we already parboiled it, so it's already half done. It doesn't need much time to cook again. Very nice to cover it and allow it to cook. So while it's cooking, let's go ahead and prepare our stew, our native stew. So now that our rice is cooking, or rather boiling, let's go ahead and prepare our native stew. First off, you place your pan or your pot on a stove. Pour in your bleached palm oil. Now added our diced onions to the palm oil. So we'll just stir it a little to allow the onion release its fragrance into the palm oil. Allow it to steam a little for it to be well fragrant. And I'll add a steamed tomato. You stir on it. Cover and allow it to steam for a little while, say like 5 minutes. We'll add our other ingredients to it. Meanwhile, check on the rice to make sure that the rice is not burning. Now that our rice is ready, let's go ahead with our native stew preparation. This stew is not going to take long because the tomatoes is already fully cooked. So we'll just add our blended crayfish to it. Add our log cubes. And I'm pouring in my stock, chicken stock that I have in the fridge. This is completely optional. If you have it, you can add, but if you don't have it, you can just make do with the fish, dried fish you are using, just like that. But I have it in the fridge, so I just thought to add it so as to add more taste to the stew. Cover it, allow it to steam a little while we check on the rice to know if the rice is ready, or we need to add more water to the rice. So I'm checking on my rice now to know if it's ready. Okay, it's properly cooked, so just allow the water in it to dry up. Just cover it and allow the water in it to dry completely. And our rice will be ready. Adding our dry fish to the stew now. We'll add our boiled eggs. We'll add our dry fish. And lastly, we're adding this dried fish here. This one is quite soft, so and allow everything to soak into this fish, to soak into the stew. You bring it down because the tomato is already well cooked, rather well steamed, so we don't need it to. It won't take long for the stew to be ready. The stew is already ready now. It's ready now. After adding the fish, you just cover it, steam for like 5 minutes so that the fish will soak into the stew. The aroma from the stew right now is giving. Maybe leave it for another 5 minutes, then our stew will be ready. It's time for me to just check to see if I'll add a little more seasoning to it. You can see I've transferred it to a bigger pot because that pot was quite tight, or rather a little bit too small for it. So I just tested to see if I should add more seasoning. I'll be adding a little salt to it, and our native stew is ready. I'm adding the salt right now, just a little. Just stir it to make sure the stew, the salt goes well. Everything is well combined. Our stew is ready right now. Or if you wish, you can bleach more palm oil and add to it. But I like mine to be like this. Our white rice and native stew is ready. So you can see the aroma is everywhere and the taste is just something else. So it tastes so nice and delicious. So let's dive into it now. Please note that you can use any dried fish of your choice. Doesn't necessarily mean you use this species I just used for dried fish. You can use any dried fish of your choice. Bonga fish, anyone you have, anyone you can lay your hands on, and the taste will also come out very, very nice. That's one thing about native stew. You know you're using palm oil or vegetable oil. You're not using vegetable oil for it, you're using palm oil, so it has its own taste. Palm oil has its own taste and it's very, very unique. I hope you try it out this holiday. Next on my list is native jollof rice. Let's get right into it. We have all our ingredients here for our native rice. So this is our roughly chopped tomato, pepper and onions. So I just pour the rice in the sieve. So it's now time for me to wash it to get rid of the stones in the rice. Just add some water to it. and sieve with your hand so that the stones will go to the bottom of the bowl. That's how you get rid of stones in rice. This way, if there is any stone in it, it will go to the bottom of the bowl. So I'm done washing it. It's now time for us to pour it in our boiling water on the stove to finally cook it. These are washed rice. I'm going to parboil the rice. I'll sieve it to get rid of any stone that might be in it because it's native rice. Most of them have stones in there. So I'll just parboil and wash before I use it. So this is the dry fish I'm using for the native rice, native jollof rice. I'll be using this dry fish here. The dry fish for the native jollof rice. I'm also using this smoked or dried shrimps for the native jollof rice. So this is my bleached palm oil. You can feel free to use the regular palm oil without bleaching it. I'll be adding iru or fermented locust beans to my dish, to the jollof rice, to the native jollof rice. So this is iru, or you can also call it fermented locust beans. We're using salt and bouillon cubes to taste, to add taste to our jollof rice, our native jollof rice. We're using salt and more cubes to add taste to our native jollof rice. What I'm doing right now is to parboil. I'm just parboiling the rice a little, so as when I sieve it, the sand, I'll be able to get rid of the sand after parboiling it. Just a little, and I'll still get rid of some starch in it too. I'm just parboiling it a little. I'm just going to pour in my bleached oil, palm oil. Right now, I'll add my tomato and pepper mix to it. So you can see our oil and tomato mix has been steaming for a little while now. Just allow it to steam a little more before we add the rice to it. Or rather, we'll add our seasoning first before we add our rice to it. It's about the simplest dish. Anyone can make this dish. It's a very simple rice dish. So right now I'm adding my bouillon cubes. I'll just stir it to see if I'll add a little salt to it or not. Or rather, I will leave the salt for later, so it will not come out too salty. Next, we're going to add a little water to it before we pour in our rice. Stir to make sure everything is combined. So let's pour in our rice now. Combine everything together. You start to combine everything together. Please note that you can also make your tomatoes very smooth. That's according to your preference. I just like mine for this particular rice dish. I like it roughly chopped. That's why I ended up using my manual hand grinder for it. This is how I want it to look like. I'll add a little palm oil to it, but that is at the end of the dish. Before I round up the dish, I'll be adding a little palm oil to it. So right now it's time for us to just taste and see if we're adding a little salt. Just a very little. That our rice will not come out, or rather our dish will not come out too tasty or salty. Too salty though. Okay. It needs a little salt, so I'll add a little salt to it. At this point, I'm not adding any more water because, like I said before, I parboiled the rice to get rid of the sand. So be able to wash and get rid of the sand in it. So it's half done. That's the right word. Yes, it's half done. So right now, we're going to just taste to see if we still need any more seasoning after adding the salt. It's perfect. So we'll cover it and allow it to boil a little, to cook a little. Time for us to cover it and allow it to cook a little before we introduce our dry fish to it. Cover and allow it to cook for like 7 to 8 minutes. We'll be right back. We'll just cover it and allow it to cook for 5 to 6 minutes while we wash our dried fish that we're using for the jollof rice. Also, turn down the heat a little so that the heat of the fire a little, so the rice will not burn. So allow it to cook on a medium heat. Now that it has been boiling for a little while now, we'll just add our dried shrimps to it. So this one is it's tougher than the other fish. So that dried fish I'm using, so I'll add it first. I'm actually supposed to add this before. Okay. I'll add a little water because the rice is still very tough. I need to add a little water. The rice is still strong, very hard. It's not well cooked yet. Just added a little water to it because it needed more water to cook properly. We'll just cover it a little. I will add our final fish, the other dry fish to it. Cover it for like 3 to 4 minutes. We'll add our fish to it. Meanwhile, turn down the heat of your stove. Meanwhile, turn down the heat of your stove so that the rice will not burn. Right now, it's time for me to add my fermented locust beans. One of my lights just went off all of a sudden. Though it's charged, I don't know, it's been malfunctioning for days now. Right now, it's time for me to add my locust beans before I add the other dried fish, and our rice will be ready. So I just added the other dry fish now. I'll just cover it and allow everything to the little water I need to dry up while our native rice is ready. Okay. So our native jollof rice is ready. It's now time for us to dish it out. See the final look. And the aroma is everywhere. All of the dried fish in it. And it's very, very tasty.
Go.
And our native jollof rice is ready. And the taste is very, very nice. The aroma is everywhere. Please try it out this festive period for your family and friends. And our native jollof rice is ready. The aroma is everywhere. And the taste is just out of the world. Please try it for your visitors this Christmas holiday, so they'll have a taste and feel of it. Thank you. Next on my list is the Ason jollof rice. Ason jollof rice is my best rice so far. After blending our tomato, pepper, and onion and pepper, this is the paste that came out that we'll be using for our stew base. So we're using chopped onions, these finely chopped onions for our Ason jollof. So we need this vegetable oil to fry Ason. These are grated ginger to season our Ason. This is salt and nut cubes to season our Ason, finely chopped into small bits. We're using this tomato paste. I'm using this rice, and this is big bowl rice, non-sticky rice, big bowl. So this is what I'm using for my Ason jollof. So first off, we're going to wash the rice until the water runs clear. So I'll be washing it 4 or 5 times until the water runs clear before we go into the preparation of the Ason. Okay, I'll be seasoning my Ason with some turmeric powder, some thyme leaves and some curry powder as well. I just poured my chopped asun into my pot, so I'll add the seasonings to it. Add some chopped garlic powder, and some seasoning cubes. We'll just stir it together. I will add a little water to it and place it on our stove to boil. Adding a little salt as well to season. So while you place it on your stove top, you just add a little water to it and cover it and allow it to boil. You cover it and allow it to come to a boil. After covering it, allow it to boil for 10 minutes so that the meat will be properly cooked before we go back to the other preparations. So while our asun is boiling, let's prepare the stew base that we'll be using for the asun jollof. Meanwhile, you place your pot or your pan on the stove, pour in your vegetable oil. We'll add our chopped onions. Allow it to simmer for a while so that the onion will release its fragrance into the vegetable oil. Now we're adding our tomato paste. We'll just fry for the tomatoes comes out very, very brown. To get rid of the acidic taste of the tomato and the tomato paste. Continue to stir on it. While that is on the fire, just check on it, asun to make sure to see if it's properly cooked. Leave the asun for a few minutes. I'll continue to stir on the tomato paste to make sure it doesn't burn. You can see our tomato paste is ready. So it's now time for us to add our blended tomato and pepper mix from earlier. We'll add it into the Okay, you can see I've been frying the tomato for a while now. We continue to fry until the acidic taste of the tomato is no more in the tomato. Meanwhile, let's fry our asun. This is our asun. We'll just go ahead and fry it. But if you have a grill or you can use your oven as well to dry it. So I'm using vegetable oil now to fry it. As you can see, our tomato, everything is well dried now, properly dry. It's properly dry now. It has been frying for a while. It's even almost burning, so we'll now go ahead and fry our asun. Right now, I placed the pan on the fire on the stove. Pour some vegetable oil in the pan. I'll fry the asun until it's golden brown. So we're going to pour in our meat stock into the vegetable mix. So make sure you sieve your meat stock to make sure there are no bones in it. Then you pour it into your tomato base, or rather your stew base. We pour in our Ason into the hot oil. Stir on it, allow it to be until it's golden brown. So just stir on it until it's golden brown. Okay, it's now time to add the rice to our stew base. At this point, you just taste to see if you add more seasoning to it. Let's add a little salt. So let's stir on it. And I'll taste to see if I'll add more seasoning cubes to it. So mine needed more seasoning cubes. I'll just add some cubes to it now. And a little water. So stir on it now before we cover it completely. So for another 10 minutes. Before we'll leave it for 10 minutes and come back to it to see if it's ready. Okay, as you can see, our Ason is ready, so we'll just take it off the oil. You can see it's golden brown already. Pour it into our sieve, remove the excess oil in it. I'll wait for the rice too to be ready. So we'll just check on our rice now to see if we're adding more seasoning to, and to see if it's properly cooked. Although we still have little water in it. Add a little water to it. The rice is still very hard. I'll add just a little water. Just stir on it and cover. Okay, our Ason rice is ready. Just add the Ason to it. I'll mix everything together. You can see our Ason jollof is ready. If you have spring onions at home, you can sprinkle on it to give it that greenish color. And also, you can add your diced onion on top. Whatever thing you just want to decorate it with, you can spread on your rice.
And lastly on my list, we'll be making our smoky patty jollof rice. This rice recipe is a crowd pleaser, and the aroma from this rice is given. Please take out time to make this recipe for your friends and family this festive period.
See how fine, and the taste is something else. It's very, very tasty too. Here is the pepper and tomato mix from earlier on. Now finely chopped onions, The vegetable oil we'll be using for the jollof. This is some blended crayfish. This is salt and log cubes. These are finely chopped green peppers. These are tomato paste. These are diced green beans. These are green peas. These are diced carrots. This is the rice we're using. I washed it 5 times until the water ran clear. So this is the rice we're using for. It's a non-sticky rice for the jollof rice. These are some chicken parts we'll be using for the jollof rice. And these are more seasonings. These are bay leaves. This is dry thyme. This is the curry powder, turmeric powder, and of course these are shallots, dried onions, also known as shallots. First off, we'll be seasoning our meat with this. We'll add a little ginger to it. Ginger and garlic paste. We'll add some of our diced onions as well. And some seasoning cubes. We'll stir everything together. We'll place it on our stove for it to cook. Lastly, I'll be adding some salt to it. Just stir it together. Add a little water to it. Cover it and allow it to boil, to come to a boil. After adding your seasoning powders, just cover it, place it on your stove pot for it to steam a little before we later add water. Let it bring out its own water first because chicken has their own water. So after it has brought out its own water, we'll now add our water that will be needed for this as a stock for the jollof rice. After placing on your stove top, you cover it, allow it to steam for a while before we add our water to it. While our chicken is boiling, let's prepare the stew base for our jollof rice. First off, place your pan or your pot on the stove. Pour in some vegetable oil. While our vegetable oil is hot, we'll add the diced onion. Just stir it a little. So allow the fragrance of the onion. Allow the onion to fragrance to happen. After pouring our onion, allow it to fragrance. Just give it a little stir. Allow it to fragrance. So release its fragrance into the oil. Next, we're adding our tomato paste. Just continue to fry the tomato paste until it turns golden brown. This process will release the excess sugar in the tomato paste, and it will add this. That will make our stew sauce, our stew base, very sweet. And also, this process will get rid of the acidic taste of the tomato paste. So just begin to fry until it's golden brown. It has been frying for a while now. You can see it's turning brown. Next, we'll add our tomato from earlier on. Our tomato, blended tomato and pepper mix. Add it on. We'll allow the tomato to fry for a while, so as to get rid of the raw tomato taste. So let's allow it fry for a while, or rather steam for a while, before we come back and add other ingredients to it. You can see our chicken has brought out some water. Some of its water showing. Just add a little water to it for our meat stock. After adding the water, we'll cover it and allow it to steam for just a few minutes. When our tomato is steaming, we'll add something. Right now we're adding our blended crayfish to the stew base. Try to make sure everything is combined. And cover it. And our chicken is ready. Next we'll be frying our chicken. So let's go right ahead to fry the chicken. Pour in your vegetable oil in your pan. Allow it to heat up a little. Now we'll start frying the chicken. Next, we'll pour in our meat stock into our stew base. Next, we'll start frying the chicken now. We'll allow the chicken to fry until it's golden brown. Now we'll check on our stew base for the rice. Next, we're pouring the rice into the stew sauce now. After adding our rice to our stew base, just taste to see if we'll add any more seasoning to it. Else we'll just cover it and allow it to come to cook for another 10 or 20 minutes. Now we'll check on it regularly. So after stirring, I just noticed I need to add a little more seasoning cubes to it. So I'm adding my seasoning cubes now. Just stir to make sure everything is well combined. Cover it and allow it to come to cook for another 10 to 15 minutes until the rice is completely done. As you can see, our rice is almost ready. I just have to taste and see if I'll add a little more water to it because the water is almost dry now. And the color is perfect. Jollof rice. Our chicken is golden brown now. Some part of it is almost burning, so I have to switch off the heat of the stove. Take it off the oil. The rice is almost ready. So what will happen is, instead of adding more water to it, I'll just cover with foil paper so that the steam from the rice will do the remaining job. I'll cover with foil paper so the steam will just make it completely soft. I'll cover with foil paper so that the steam for the rice will cook it completely instead of having to add water to it. Instead of adding water to it, I just covered with my foil paper so that the steam from the rice will finally cook it. And finally, our jollof rice is ready. It's now time for us to next. We'll be adding our vegetables. Just added my carrots. Now adding my green peas. I'll add the green beans now. I'm just stirring it now so that everything will come together. Please note that at this point the rice is on, the stove is on very low heat, but the rice is ready. Just for the vegetable to cook a little.
Finally, I'm adding my green pepper. So if you have spring onions at this time, at this point, this is the time you should add your spring onions too. I don't have spring onions anymore, so I just added green pepper to it to give it that greenish look, to add to its greenish look. I'm about to dish our jollof rice now. You can see the aroma is everywhere. Our hot smoky jollof rice.